Hello everyone, my name is John Mitchell and today I'm going to be presenting my Phase 3 class project. My project's name is Nearby Places mobile app. The purpose of this app is to help users find places near to their location. The user can open the app, allow location access, load nearby places, view those in a list, open the details, and then save those places. So the main goal of this project was to create a simple and useful app while organizing it in a model, view model architecture plan. Or for the rest of the time, I just call it MVVM. This pattern separates the user interface, the logic, and the data models. So it makes the project easier to understand and improve on later. So the basic flow starts when the user opens the app. The app then will ask for its permission, the user's permission. If the permission's allowed, the app uses their location and loads all the nearby places. The places are shown in a list, and the user can scroll through and tap on a place to view more details. From the details screen, they can save the place as a favorite, and they can also open their favorite screen and see their saved places. This is, a basic user flow of how the full app would actually work. In my use case diagram, we show the main things that the user can do in the app. The actor in this case is the user, and the system obviously is the Nearby Places app. The main use case is just to open the app, load the nearby places, view the list, view the place details, save to favorites, and then view the favorites. The user connects to the actions they perform directly. Some of the use cases depend on other use cases though. For example, when you open the app, this includes on loading the nearby places. Loading the nearby places includes showing the places list, and then viewing the places list can lead to viewing place details. Viewing place details, though, can lead to saving a favorite, so everything is kind of connected. This diagram helps explain the app from the user's point of view instead of just focusing, only on the code. Unfortunately, and I'll talk about this more later, but there are also alternate flows. If the user denies the location permission, then the app can't load the places. If the API fails too, the app, may or may not show all the places that it could have. If there are no results in either of those cases, then the app will show an error message instead of just showing a blank screen. So that way, they know to try again later or turn their location services on. These alternate flows are important because, real apps need to handle problems without just completely crashing. Okay, moving forward. Now I'm going to explain, this is the MVVM diagram that I was talking about earlier. First and foremost, we have the view layer, and this includes content, detail, and favorites view. These are the screens that the user sees and interacts with. These views just focus on displaying information and responding to user input. Next down the list is the view model, and this handles the logic for the app. In this project, the main view model is the location view model, and it stores published data like the list of places and loading state. It also has functions such as fetch places, which handles loading nearby places. The view observes the view model, so the data, when the data changes, the screens just update automatically. The view doesn't hold on to any data of itself. It only just displays what the view model gives it. Now the model layer, this represents the actual data. So if you look down. And in this project, the model includes objects like a place response and a place. Now these are both gathered from the API. These match the live data returned by the API when the app receives the JSON. It then decodes that JSON into the model objects so the app can use the data in a clean way. Now you'll notice too that there is a service and a persistent layer. The service part includes the location manager, which gets the user's location, and the persistence part includes the favorite store. This is just storing the saved favorites. So keeping those parts separate makes the app more organized. The view doesn't need to know every detail about the API, the location manager, or the favorite storage. It really just pulls all that from there, and then that's what the user sees. So yeah, so here are the capabilities and limitations. It has several. We already went over all the capabilities. You open the app, it requests the location. It'll load the nearby places using the API. Then it decodes that JSON and then displays that in a friendly UI. You can then go through that UI, save one of those to your favorites, and then later on you can display those favorites in a separate list. So these features create what we have as our basic user experience. Now the project obviously has some limitations that I think I already touched on. If the app doesn't have the location permission, it won't fully work until that they do. It also depends on the web API. If the API is slow, there's nothing we can do but wait. And if it fails, we may or may not be able to see everything that we would have normally. So we could improve in the future with better storage. We could, for the favorites, do sorting or searching. I also think adding things to possibly the actual map would be cool too. So let's see. So one major lesson I learned is that architecture matters. It might seem easier to put all the code in one file at first, but it quickly becomes messy. So the MVVM architecture, it helps us separate the app into clear sections that each have their own role. The view handles the interface, the view model handles logic, and the model handles the actual data. Another lesson I learned is that APIs and location services need error handling. The user might deny permission, the API might fail, or the data might be missing. The app needs to be ready for those situations. I also learned that diagrams should match the actual implementation. The MVVM diagram should show how the project really works, not just what looks good on paper. For future improvements, I would make the favorites more permanent, so they stay saved even after the app shuts down. I would also like to add search and filtering so the user can look for more specific types of places. I would improve the details page with more useful information, and I would also add better messages for loading. As for class improvements, I think it would help to have more examples maybe of MVVM. This was a really good architecture, and I know that we did see a lot, but I just don't think you can really get enough of it. I think maybe seeing more examples, it just maybe would have made it easier to understand for me and maybe for everyone else. In conclusion, this is my project, the Nearby Places app. It uses location, APIs, places list UI, detail screens, favorites, persistence. It follows the MVVM architecture. This project helped me better to understand mobile app design, API requests, JSON decoding. Thank you for watching my presentation.